The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And belly on up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar. Pour yourself a cold one. My name is Chris. Hannah is off this week. This is the EP Podcast. 30 minutes of good for Evergreen Park and the surrounding area, all brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. You need a bank you can rely on, one that loves this community and also puts the money back in after an ATM fee. Any place you're at. I don't know where you hang out. I don't know where you're drawing your money from. They may be charging you an arm and a leg to be able to get cash out of someplace. Doesn't matter. First National Bank of Evergreen Park puts the money back in, so every ATM is free nationwide. Plus, if you open up a total access checking account, you get a $300 bonus. Learn more at bankevergreenpark.com, but I suggest you get in there. You check out the interest they're giving on savings accounts and CDs. They're through the roof right now because of the way the economy is. See them in that iconic building right there on the corner of 95th and Pulaski. Since Hannah is out, I have somebody joining me for the next half hour. I think he deserves a whole half hour. He was part of this network when I first started the Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network as one half of Me and the Priest, and I am not the priest. So Father Paul Guzman had to fill that role, and he went through some trouble recently. And I think anybody paying attention heard all about it, and I think anybody that knew him knew it was just a bunch of bull. And we're very happy that he got through the process. It was an arduous process, and it sounds like it was terrible. So I'm glad you're through it. How are you?
Doing better now that I'm back home.
Yeah, and you got a bourbon in front of you.
And I got a bourbon in front of me, and with this Bloody Butcher corn thing. It's very good. I like it.
Yeah, Jephthah Creed.
Yeah.
It's just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. You can get it at Binny's now. I don't think you could get it when I first discovered it a while back. But you can get it at Binny's now. And it like if you're a bourbon drinker and you want to try a bourbon that it has a very distinctly different taste than most bourbons because of the type of corn they use, it's an interesting one to go and try.
Yeah, it's kind of sweet. I liked it.
Yeah. I left the bottle over there in case you needed more.
Oh, well, let everybody know I got a bottle sitting in front of me.
It's a half-hour show.
Oh, okay.
I have the decanter by me. I have the house bourbon over here.
Yeah, but that's a blend.
This
is the real deal.
I have a friend of mine, I was explaining this to Father Paul, who loves bourbon, who told me that every time he gets to the bottom of a bottle, instead of just having like a little miniature glass, he pours that into his decanter and makes a blend with the bourbons and then just opens up a new bottle, and it creates like an ever-changing bourbon that is at your bar. And I'm trying to do that, but I never get the decanter all the way to the top before I need it. And that's the problem.
I have the same problem. It's, you get over it after a while. Yeah, it's all right. It's all good.
It's like the loaves and the fishes. So, listen, Easter just happened. There's a lot of stuff you missed while you were gone. How long were you gone for between your deployment in Djibouti for the U.S. Navy, also the Marines? You deal with both of them as a chaplain. And how long were you gone for that? And then the combination of when you had to come back and go through this very long process to clear your name, where it sounds like the moment they finally got around to actually handling the case, it was very easy to clear you, thankfully.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It went really smooth. It was just the hard part was the waiting. But I was gone almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I was boots on ground. Now, that's in Djibouti, boots on ground for 369 days.
And Djibouti, just tell me if I'm wrong, near like where the Suez Canal is?
Yes, it's on the Horn of Africa.
Yeah.
It borders on Somalia and Ethiopia, and it's right across the Gulf of Aden from Yemen.
Yeah.
So it's
mild temperatures there, probably in the 60s all the time.
Oh yeah. Summers were a balmy 120 degrees with 95% humidity. It was glorious.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, winters were nice. Winters, at night it was like 75, 76.
Yeah.
And it was great to be over at the wardroom drinking Manhattans.
You can get that there.
Oh, yeah.
See, I remember when you had your deployment to Syria, you couldn't get a drop anywhere.
We didn't have any alcohol at all, but we could have. Well, we cheated. I don't know if I should talk about the cheating.
How about you say that sometimes bad apples do what?
Oh, yeah, sometimes. Okay. Well, we were allowed 2 drinks in 24 hours.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't either.
Neither could. I've had 2 drinks getting the microphone set up on the bar.
We're talking about military people. You know, 2 drinks? I know, come on. And we actually got ration cards. You know, it had like 31.
And they check off your drinks?
Oh yeah. It's got like April the 1st. It's got two blocks, you know, for drink number 1 and drink number 2.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some unscrupulous people, you know, they would take their pen. And for block number 1, they would make an X, but they would only put one leg of the X this way.
Oh.
You know? And then you'd come back
so
for number 2.
Per box.
Yes, yeah.
So you're getting 8 drinks.
And then we got busted. And then they had to use a magic marker.
You're a priest, for crying out loud. What are you doing, like, pulling games like this? You're not supposed to say we either. You're supposed to say these other people.
Oh,
you were a witness to it.
I was just a witness to it.
Okay,
yeah.
I believe you.
So then they would take a magic marker and they would put a little dot in the box. And then if you came back for another drink, they made the dot a little bigger. And then for the third one, they make that dot a little bigger. And then for your 4th one, then we move over to the other box and we put a little dot, you know, and we just go that way, you know. Unscrupulous, you know.
Terrible.
Oh, it was horrible.
Terrible stuff.
I was scandalized.
And then you had to hear their confessions, too, on top of it, probably, when they admitted to that they did something wrong. Is that a confessable sin?
Well,
is that something? Is that
if
a
you get
venial
drunk,
sin, at
if
least,
you get
right?
drunk, yeah.
Right.
Well, it depends on how drunk you get. You know,
Okay.
now we had some guys, not like the enlisted guys. The enlisted guys, they had their own club too. It was called the Thirsty Camel, and same thing for them. It was only 2, but they were a little more strict because enlisted guys get a little more wily. I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I have friends who are enlisted guys.
Yeah. They're wily.
Yeah.
But they had this an imported beer. I think it was German, and it came in a big bottle, and that bad boy was 11%. So they would get 2 of these big bottles as 11%. And it was like, I only had 2 drinks.
Yeah, they're drinking 2 liters of beer, though.
Yeah, they're drinking 2 liters of beer.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
and they would get wily. There was this one guy. You know what a gator is, right?
Yeah.
It's a 4-wheel drive, kind of like an ATV.
Yeah.
Well, he's all liquored up. And the MAs, they catch him. And they try to do a good deed. They said, look, park the gator, go home.
MAs? Are those
MAs in the
they're
Navy.
like MPs?
Yeah, but
They're
MA
MAs.
stands for Master at Arms, and they're our police.
If you watch movies, you only know what they show you. So I didn't know that. Okay, so that's the same thing.
La
They're
La
the
Land.
police.
The movie's
Gotcha.
La La Land. So he parks the thing. He almost goes home. He waits for the MAs to leave. He goes back to that gator, and he goes tooling around, drunk as a skunk, and he rolls the gator.
Well, that's not good.
And he got hurt. He broke his arm.
That gets you in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah.
captain's mast.
You never want to get in trouble in the military, I would think.
Oh, no.
Like here's the thing. When I heard about what you were going through, and I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if this is something military related because you were on deployment. And that's what I kept thinking. I'm like, oh, that's bad. You know? And what the heck did he do when he was doing that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't want to touch on it anymore, but I just want to get your thoughts about what it was like. Palm Sunday was your first mass back, I want to say, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
at Redeemer. And I know, and from who I've talked to in that community, it feels like an entire community of people that are really happy you're back. And I've had a lot of people comment to me like, I don't know him very well. I've heard him on your show. When I heard these things that were said about him, I didn't believe it. It doesn't sound like it held any water whatsoever. And that's why when, they put out that letter and then very quickly after that, it's like it's over because it was really something.
It was 1 week
right,
to the
exactly.
day. 1 week
and it was
to
like,
the day.
wait a minute, this doesn't hold water. It's crazy. This accusation is 40 years old. There's nothing to this. And there were multiple organizations that looked at it. It sounded like that. Like when I saw one of the reports on it, you have state agencies that are looking at it because it wasn't even when you were a priest. So it's not like the archdiocese is the only one clearing you. Yeah. And that quickly, all these people say, yeah, this is nuts. Move on from this. Right. This is crazy. But what was it like getting up in front of people and doing your first mass? And were you out of practice?
I was out of practice in that, my faculties were suspended, so I couldn't do
So you couldn't give a mass for how long?
No, since I came back from Djibouti, which was in June.
Because when you're in Djibouti, you're not under this diocese,
Right.
you're under the military, and the military was like, we're keeping him active.
Right.
And when he gets back, you guys can go through your process.
Right.
But we read this thing and we're like, we're keeping him. We need a guy over here, and we think he's fine. Even the military looked at this and was like, we're not doing anything to this. Keep him here.
Yeah, the military said this is bogus. We're not dealing with this. And so I continued my ministry for the military, and I had the base at Djibouti to cover, and then we had another little airstrip that was Shabelle, which was connected to CLDJ, but that's where the Air Force had their drones, and I would cover the Air Force guys over there too. And on top of that, I think I was flown out to 5 ships. I had the USS Patuxent.
Did you get to go between ships?
No, I went on a damn Osprey. It flew.
Because that was something you told me, that there was like a thing where you get the zip line from one ship to another.
Bosun's chair in between. Yeah,
you didn't get to do that?
No, thank goodness.
Well, that's a shame.
Thank you. It's bad enough going in that Osprey. I think I got pictures of that.
What's an Osprey for people who don't know
An
what
Osprey is a fixed-wing aircraft, but it has motors that tilt. So it can take off like a helicopter.
They look like helicopters, and then they turn into planes.
I got a picture.
No, I've seen them in movies before.
Yeah.
Like, they usually use them in action movies, and you're like, what is that crazy
the
thing?
Marines use these a lot, and they call them marine killers because these aircraft
they crash all the time.
Yeah, they fall out of the air, and I don't like them.
And you got to be on those.
Yeah, it's like, here's you.
Nobody can see it.
Yeah, but you can see it.
Okay, I see it. Okay, it's great. It's him like in like pilot glasses. He looks terrified.
Like Secret
Somebody
Squirrel.
took a picture while he's going along. Okay, so you got to do Mass in Djibouti, then you get back, and you have a very long time where you're on the shelf.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the slow gears of how everything works to turn.
Right.
And you didn't do Mass for almost a year, I would think? Close to it, right?
July,
10
August,
months?
September, October, November, December, January, February, March.
Counting them up here.
Yeah. Like almost a year.
So when was your first Mass? Was it on Palm Sunday?
Yes. Well, no, I did a morning mass, a couple of morning masses
in the week.
Yeah, just this week.
When I was showing up at a radio station, I was starting a new morning drive show, and I hadn't done it in a month or so, and I was starting new.
Yeah.
I would do it at 2:00 in the morning on like a weekend or like on a Tuesday, and use like an accent so people didn't know who it was, so I could just get used to the equipment before I started the show and built the show in whatever town. So you got a little bit of practice before you did the big one. So the first one you're doing, do you forget things?
No,
get lost?
No, because in the Navy we have 7 P's that we have to learn.
And those are?
Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So you
love talking to you after
practice.
A
You practice before, so there is no piss poor performance. You
Amazing.
See. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Father Paul sitting down here on the EP podcast, a very special post-Easter episode with the priest that has returned to his parish and has been a guest on this show a bunch of times before he went away 2 years ago. Had his own podcast on a network, Me and the Priest. I always get messages about you. And this segment is brought to you by the law offices of Parente and Norum. When you've been injured, you need a team that will do what it takes to fight for your rights. The insurance companies only care about one thing, the bottom line. Law offices of Parente and Norum. Their team has the experience, dedication, and proven results it takes to get you the care and compensation you deserve. They recovered over $500 million so far for their injured clients and loved ones. For a free case evaluation, EP podcast listeners, call or text them today at 312-641-5926 or visit pninjurylaw.com. So you have your masses. I was at the 11 o'clock on Palm Sunday when it was your first official weekend back. And then I had to wait a while because people wanted to talk to you. What was it like? What was it like to finally get in front of a congregation that you hadn't seen here in Evergreen Park in 2 years, that you had known, like they weren't aware, they knew there was something, because I know that like that was a thing that was moving around. Something had happened. We didn't know if it was a military related thing. We didn't know if you were sick. We didn't know what was going on. And then they get all this information and they have to process it, see the ending move so quickly. And now you're in front of them. What was it like? What was the reaction you got?
Well, it was kind of unbelievable because while I was on the shelf and right after the media dump, I got a call from several priests that were falsely accused as well. And they said, what you're going to experience, you're not going to believe. They said people are going to be so supportive, you're not going to believe it. And that's exactly what happened here. I had so many people reach out to me and tell me how much they were praying for me, how much they're glad to see me back, and it literally brought a tear to my eye. I couldn't believe that that you were missed that much and that people appreciated you that much. And I'm still trying to process that. I was just so devastated. I was a policeman, registered nurse, in combat.
U.S. Marshal.
U.S. Marshal.
Policeman, yeah.
And this was the worst experience of my life. Yeah. My life. I've gone through so much. It just devastated me emotionally. But to come back to this has really been a pleasure, and it's a shock even. I didn't think what the other priest told me was going to be real, but it was more than I even could imagine.
And you didn't know. I kind of told you something today, and I could see the look on your face because you were kind of surprised by it. Since you've been gone, a lot has happened. Okay? I mean, Bernadette's gone.
Yeah.
Not only is the parish gone, the building's gone.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
It's a parking lot. Like,
no.
they've knocked it down recently.
Is the church still there?
No. Everything's gone.
No, that was such a pretty church.
They couldn't even remove the cross over there in that neighborhood in Evergreen Park because the cross was built out of the concrete. So from what I read, since the cross in the outer part of the building couldn't be saved, it literally just got demolished.
Oh my
on the
goodness.
side of the building. So it was gut wrenching for the people in that neighborhood.
Oh,
I mean, that's a neighborhood in Evergreen Park that's part of EP
yes.
over there, and it's been a gut wrenching thing for them over the last year or so. We saw the principal removed from Queen of Martyrs because he said I'm going to do what I think is right. And we saw all the people that were out there. We saw Bernadette and Martyrs combined, and they still have to come up with a new name. They're going to make a new name. I'm sure you're already aware that the pastor of Bernadette became the pastor
yes.
over at Martyrs. And he's
Benedict, yes.
Really nice. He's been on the show before.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's the fire department chaplain.
Yeah.
And he's a motorcycle rider.
Yeah, he does this thing where he puts a cow out in the middle of
yes, and
he puts a grid in wherever the cow poops.
You win.
It's a competition. It's crazy. And that's how he raises money. It's amazing. So, but there's been so much that's happened. And what I was telling you was, there were priests that were looking for a place to go. And your pastor, Jim Highland over at Redeemer, didn't take anybody because he was like, I don't want to give up Paul's spot because I want him back. And what did that feel like when you heard that? Because that's got to also be something where you're like, I mean, because you were only there for a couple of years with Jim before this all happened.
Actually, it's been about 5.
Okay.
But it seems...
Yeah, but let's think about the fact you were deployed one other time. You've probably actually been in the building for 2 years.
Maybe. I don't know.
But if you think about it, he did every mass. He did every mass while you were gone.
Well, and that was
because you were gone.
Part of my beef with the archdiocese. I said...
Don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. Say, you going to be okay?
I think this is going to be okay.
This will be okay.
I said, don't think about me. Think about the pastor, the poor pastor. He's got this parish all by himself.
Yeah.
Let's hurry this along. Have mercy on this poor man.
Yeah.
And besides that, he's got a resident there that's 100 years old and will be 101 in May.
I just had a conversation with him the other day. I popped in and saw him, Father Adamich over there. Again, we have a priest that's over in that building who's over 100.
Yeah.
And my daughter from time to time will work in the rectory now. She's one of the girls over there. He was sitting there because he wanted to make sure he was there late at night to protect her. And I was laughing. Like, she takes kickboxing and jujitsu, my daughter. She's 17 years old. She'd be defending him. I thought, but in his mind, he's like, I got to go sit out here and make sure that she's okay. He's 100 and some years old. It's crazy to me.
He's going to be 101 in May, and he's going to be 75 years a priest in May.
Yeah.
He's been a priest longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, I know. And he's your buddy, too.
He's my little buddy.
You guys get along very well.
We do.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. you have missed a few things while you were gone. But when you were over there in Djibouti and you were doing the deployment, just give me a little idea of what it's like being on that base. I think that's the thing. Like people missed you and they want to know what's going on with you. And I think that like if I could tell people, you know, because I don't know how detailed he would get in his answer. If I could tell people, I feel like you went through a lot, and that it you know, you've had some ups and downs over the last couple of years, but you're still the same guy. It didn't break you. You didn't get broken by what you went through.
Yeah. It came close.
Yeah, but I mean, you seem still like the same guy that I remember when you went off on your deployment. But tell me a little bit about that deployment and kind of fill people in on what it was like, what you were doing over there, because I'm sure they want to know where you've been.
Right. When I first got there, we were still in COVID. So it was a little difficult over there. Of course, you couldn't be outside really during the day because it was so hot. So you couldn't work out outside. And we had a couple of gyms over there, but you had to schedule an appointment because they could only let so many people in at a time. All the mask wearing, everything was spread out in the galley. Well, they call it a defect.
And that's interesting to me because I know guys in the military who would tell me that they were treating things differently than even we were treating them here. So that's interesting to me that at the base over there in Djibouti, you had to deal with all those restrictions.
We had to deal with all those restrictions. We had a nice Blessed Sacrament chapel over there, separate from the main chapel. But we couldn't use the main chapel because it was small and you had to have all this spacing. So we had it in the, we call it an MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. It's a big hall, and everything was all spread out. So we had to have Mass over there. This Blessed Sacrament Chapel, there's only allowed to be 2 people in there at any time. So it was very, very difficult, you know, to have services there. But we were able to manage, and I had a lot of, you know, we're going through COVID. People were having a lot of issues, COVID-related and home-related and work-related as well, that we were kept busy, I mean, like crazy. And then I went through 3 officers in charge of my unit there. I got there, and that commander was there for just a few months, and then he PRD'd, or he processed out.
Yeah, when you say that, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know if he's
dead.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
We in the military we speak in alphabets.
Yeah, nobody knows what you're talking
nobody
about.
knows. Yeah, it's like, you know, speak English. And then the next one was a rabbi. He was a really great guy. He's actually a professor at Villanova.
I'm going to tell you something. As a Catholic, I've met several rabbis. They always seem to be just like the most fun people to have conversations with. They're so cool.
And this guy has, you know, got a PhD. He teaches at Vanderbilt. He was an amazing fella.
They're the most interesting people.
And and it was great. And then the next OIC was a Lutheran minister, and we all got along so well, and we kept the lid on because during the COVID time, of course, the military said everybody's got to get the jab. And there were so many people who wanted deferment from that because, you know, they had objections, you know, to the vaccine. So we were cranking out the paperwork for this. And, of course, the military didn't accept a single one.
See, that's what I imagine you were doing over there.
Yeah.
During that time, I figured, he's right in the middle of that. Somebody's coming to him asking him to fill out a form.
You know, we had Air Force there, too, and we were doing so much for the Air Force. I actually won a Air Force Achievement Medal for all the work we did with the Air Force.
You got a medal?
I got several.
You got several medals? Tell me how many medals you got when you were over there.
I got a Navy Commendation Medal.
For what?
For all the work that I did
when
I was there. And I got the Air Force Achievement Medal for what we were doing there. We had a humanitarian, a humanitarian something medal for the work we were doing with the Djiboutian people. And what else the heck? I got a nice little rack.
All right, here, I got a follow-up question real quick.
Okay.
I want to get the last of the people that have paid money to the EP podcast because it's kind of a different format.
Thank you for paying money.
So I want to make sure I take care of them. So first off, they've been with us forever. Cool Clouds Vapor Shop. Quitting smoking is hard. Cool Clouds wants to give you an alternative. They have a full taster bar, great CBD products, and the amazing, incredible, I've already gotten a walkthrough, Spoken Vine, going to be opening up very shortly right next to their location on the northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. See more at coolcloudsvapor.com. Stop into the current shop that's over there at 95th and Kedzie. I'm going to take you to that place too.
Okay.
It is Spoken Vine. The idea is that you ride your bike over there and you drink wine. And they're going to have food there as well. It's basically a wine tasting place. The entire back bar is just all these like areas for them to put all these different bottles. And then you can actually buy your bottles while you're there. So if you like something, you can pick it up and bring it home.
Oh, that's nice.
You're going to love it.
Oh.
Okay. I've already gotten to walk through, and Reed and Bridget over there that own it are amazing. And then I have another one to tell you about that came along since you left. Evergreen Park residents who grow hot peppers in different backyards around Evergreen Park and make hot sauce out of it.
Ooh.
It's called sidsauce.net. And they make like, I want to say on their website right now, they probably got 13 to 15. It might be more. Okay. I mean, like as we're sitting here, I have no idea, but I have like, they deliver it right to your door.
Oh,
and
really?
Like most of the bottles are like $6 and they're just amazing.
Thank you for telling me.
Check them out.
Yeah, I definitely will.
They're incredible as well. I mean, it's the only hot sauce I use right now. When my son Dominic actually got the Rona, you were gone. He lost his sense of taste, and he would just drink hot sauces and giggle because he couldn't taste them, and there was no heat.
Yeah.
With it, which he thought was funny. He would bite into onions and he would drink hot sauce and he would laugh about it because he's a teenage boy.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's
I got COVID twice. I got the jab. The military made me get the jab, and I got it twice anyway. So
and
lost my hearing, had a brain
I was
bleed,
waiting to see if you told people that you lost some of your hearing because of it and your taste.
And my taste. The second time around, I lost my taste.
That's crazy.
And a brain bleed.
Yeah, I know. And you got a brain bleed too.
Yeah.
You're a mess.
I am. I'm
Drink
a hot
more
mess.
bourbon. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes here. I want to ask you this question.
All right.
So you're over in Djibouti. You mentioned you got a medal for humanitarian efforts. So that means that you're doing stuff with the people of Djibouti?
Right.
So tell me what that was like. Finish that off.
Some of the things that we did with Djiboutians, they want to know English because English is the language of business.
Right.
So, they're wonderful people. And so what we did is we had these meetings with the college kids and adults, and it was just basically conversations. We would get together and we would just pick a topic and we would talk, and then we would correct their English, and we got to do all kinds of cool stuff with them. And then we did with the local Djiboutian people. We'd have them on base and do things. We had a thing called a bazaar, and it was wonderful for the Djiboutian people because we would bring them on. I think we had like 40 vendors. We had like 20 that were artisans and 20 that were just vendors. And they would come on we'd bring them onto the base, we'd vet them through the embassy, and they would sell their wares. We were most interested in things that were made in Djibouti by Djiboutians. And each time we had
seriously, every time you say that, I think to myself, it's like something out of Star Wars, the Djiboutians.
Yeah, it is like
because I never heard of Djibouti until you brought it up that you were going.
You thought
there.
I was kidding. No, there is a Djibouti.
It's amazing.
There's a Djibouti.
Yeah,
and the bazaar for the vendors and the artisans, they would come out of there with like $50,000 in American money. So for the
good
whole
for
thing,
them.
it was. And
I want to open an artisan market in Djibouti.
They would literally kill to get to be vetted to come onto base and sell their wares.
They would literally kill?
They would literally kill.
Oh, so there's some bad stuff that was happening.
Well, it's like it made money for the people, and they're poor over there. And it's like, let me on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a world to be
a world
part
to be
of.
in.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you spend your time over there. I know you like the chaplain thing.
Yes.
I remember talking to you about this. I remember when you went to Syria the first time, we were still doing Me and the Priest.
Yeah.
And
we were doing it via Skype while I was there.
We stopped with Djibouti because I was like, we talked about it, and I was like, I just feel like this is going to be too much on you. Mm-hmm. And now when I know how it went for the last 2 years, that would have been really hard on you. And so I think it's probably best. But I mean, like I know you love doing it, but now after this long stretch of not being at Redeemer, are you ready for like a long stretch at Redeemer?
Oh, well, yeah. And unless something happens bad in the world, I age out in January.
So you're done.
So I'm done in January.
Oh, that's a shame. You always wanted to be deployed on a ship. That was your thing.
There were let me tell you. There was an opportunity. Well, actually, another one just came out. There was an opportunity.
And by the way, before he tells the story, he was held over.
Yeah.
He was only supposed to be in Djibouti for 6 months.
For
they held
9
him
months. And
9 months. They held you for more than a year.
More than a year.
Which is over the limit that they're supposed to hold
him.
him.
They had to get special permission
and
from Big Navy.
Right,
and they
so
held
he
me.
did a very long tour compared to what he's supposed to do. But anyway, tell me that.
Yeah. Where were we?
I said you always wanted to be on a ship.
Oh yeah, so there was an opportunity to be on the USS San Jacinto, but it would have taken me over January. So I called my command and I said, I would love to take that deployment, but you'll have to get special permission for me to go over my extension that I already have, to extend my extension. They said no.
I'm sorry. I know you always wanted to be on a ship. You wanted to be on a ship and you wanted to be surrounded and have to get into a firefight. I know you don't want to tell me
close.
I know you didn't. Like here, if you've never heard about his first deployment, his bodyguard used to carry an extra gun on his back just in case something happened, because this guy used to be a U.S. Marshal, and he's like, they don't give him a gun because he's a priest over there, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but this was like your dream. Your dream was to be surrounded like it was the Alamo and have to fight back. That and being on a ship, you didn't get either one of them.
I didn't get either one.
You didn't even get a combat medal.
Well, Guardian Angels were working that day, and they kept us.
You wanted the medal.
I did.
I know you wanted the medal.
So did my bodyguard.
Well, he still has a chance.
Yeah, he still has a chance.
You're timing out. You're aging out. I'm sorry.
Well, but I knew when I was in school, in the chaplain's corps school, we went out to Paris Island, which is a Marine Corps basic training base. And the command chaplain there was a priest from the Archdiocese of Boston, and he was 70 years old. The general there on the base liked him so much that he had some juice and he kept him over.
Look at you. Yeah. Trying to figure out how to stay past your 70.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You know what? I feel so bad for Father Highlander right now listening to this thing go, wait a minute, you're not supposed to go anywhere anymore, Paul.
I know.
Listen, stay here. Get the hearing taken care of, take care of yourself. You've gone through so much. I think everybody's very happy to have you back.
I am happier to be back.
I know not everybody in Evergreen Park goes the Most Holy Redeemer, but the fact that you're like a fixture in this village. There were a lot of people that reached out to me asking how you were doing. You were part of the show before you went off on your deployment. We're all just really happy that you're back.
I'm happier than you could ever imagine that I'm back.
It's the EP Podcast, all things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast, Evergreen Park.